Trailblazers, welcome back to another video. So today I would like to talk about the 4-star units in the game because I realized in my previous video covering the Pride 1 2.0 character tier list that I didn't really focus on the 4 stars. So this video is for that. Also, I read your comments in the previous video and I would like to say thank you for keeping it civil and it was nice hearing your opinions. So as you can see, March is already in the D tier. I just preemptively put her there before the whole tier list starts because there's something very important I want to talk about in regards to March. She has a mechanic in her ult where she freezes enemies, and inherently that might sound nice to some of you because in the simulated universe with Remembrance Path, it is really OP to freeze enemies, and also she does follow-up attacks when characters with shields that she put on them gets hit, so it could be good for Elation Path as well. But ultimately, I think that freezing enemies is actually really bad because hear me out, when you get hit by enemies, you generate energy. So you want to get hit by enemies because the more energy you get, the more time you can ult, and the more times you can ult, the faster you kill enemies. So by freezing enemies, sure, you get hit less, but that is bad because then you do less damage. March literally is a DPS loss for your team, and I don't think that is good. In a game that's about doing big damage and flexing your damage, unfortunately, I don't think she's really the kind of mascot character that they hope that she would be. Moving on to Heng, I would say he's average. He carried me through the early game. I'll put him in B tier. Although if you can zero cycle with him, I would put him in S tier. I have seen Heng zero cycle clears, and that's definitely S tier behavior. But for the average Heng, I would say you would go in B tier because he does damage, and damage is good, which is automatically better than March already. The one downside of his kit is that he slows enemies down. When he E's, he slows enemies down. And it's the same kind of logic with Heng that I talked about in March, where you get hit less and therefore you do less damage because you generate less energy. Moving on to Asta. So Asta is kind of the opposite because she gives your whole team speed, right? And this is a huge thing, by the way. This is a huge thing. Automatically, I think I'm going to put her at least in A tier, if not S tier. We'll see where I land on this, but basically my reasoning is that Asta gives a team-wide, I think it is 50 speed for every character on your team with her ult. And if you build her correctly, which you should be doing, you would get permanent uptime, which means you get permanent 50 speed. I mean, you might think, okay, but like speed doesn't really equate to damage. Speed is not like attack percent. Speed is not crit damage or whatever. But think about it this way. A speed boot gives you 25 speed per speed boot, and you can only have one speed boot on each character because ideally a character only has one pair of legs, right? So if you give 50 speed, which is 2 speed boots worth of main stats, to every character on your team, that is 200 speed that you're gaining. That is 8 speed boots worth of main stats. Because the value of main stats is generally average across every main stat, so in a sense, you could say you basically are getting 8 ER ropes worth of main stats, 8 attack rope worth of main stats, 8 crit damage body worth of main stats just from Asta, because you can invest the speed into the other stats if you just roll perfectly, which you should be doing. So I don't really know what to say other than that. Like, just for existing and pressing one button, Asta provides 8 main stat worth of value, and that's not even talking about her E, because okay, you know what? Yeah, she's definitely S tier. She is so overloaded that not only does she give 8 main stat worth of stats, she also gives attack percent to the whole team. I think it's like 80% attack percent or something like that. It's insane. And we know that every good character in this game runs attack percent, unless you're a blade and you run HP percent. But then that's just because you're broken. You don't even need like buffs if you're playing blade. So Asta is insane. And also, she has this hidden passive whenever you break a barrel that you get extra loot because of her she's so rich that she gets like interest in her bank account passively. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know that. So S tier unit, great for credit farming and great for just value. Moving on to Arlan, which is, I don't know, this is a tough one. I would say D tier because, as we've talked about before, HP equals to damage. If you have 0 HP, you can't do damage. And the reason why Blade is so good is because he's so tanky that he can't die, and he has a way to heal himself. Sure, he consumes HP when he attacks, but he has a way to heal himself, so he really never is in jeopardy. Whereas with Arlan, he is a little boy that is a security guard but relies on other people to heal him. I don't really know how that works, and he just constantly kills himself. So he goes in a D tier because if your characters aren't alive, they can't do damage. If they can't do damage, then you're not worth anything as a character. Unless they are Asta, right? And they give you a lot of other stats. Let's move on next to Yukong. And this is, without a doubt, probably the most busted 4-star in the game. Let me tell you why. First of all, she does insane damage. She has like a 500% multiplier on her ult or something. It is crazy. She does so much damage. And that's just the beginning. Because where she really shines is not her damage, because a lot of other characters can also do damage. But where she shines is that she also buffs your team. She buffs your team in a stat that is really kind of valuable, and that is crit rate and crit damage. Sure, the crit rate is less valuable because you can just crit without needing crit rate, because every character has a 5% crit rate already. But the crit damage is super valuable, and also the attack percent that she can give with her skill is insanely valuable, right? And that's on top of being able to do immense single target damage. Like, you could just one-shot bosses and they won't be able to hit you, and her multipliers for a 4-star are just crazy. But the cherry on the top, and I might make a video about this in the future as well, right, is the fact that she runs really fast in the open world. You know what they say, right? Time is money. And so when you run faster in the open world, you can break more barrels within a less amount of time. And when you farm more barrels, you get more credits. And when you get more credits, you can level your characters faster and progress more in the game and just be stronger in general. And also saves you time in real life where you don't have to be glued to your computer, which is an overall positive, because the less time you play this game, the better. Also, her synergy with Jingliu, even though Jingliu isn't the strongest character, Jingliu's talent, where she breaks everything in a circle around her, you could create this like whirlpool, blizzard, sandstorm, elemental destruction ball, and you just run and you break everything, and it's instant credits minus time that you have to use like clicking your mouse to like manually break everything. It is insane. It is insane. And also, yeah, she does a lot of damage. Probably the best hunt character in the game, I would say. And also definitely the best 4-star character in the game. Amazing character, amazing single target damage, and also her basic attack does a lot of damage as well. So even without using skill points, she can be fully skill point positive and also do insane damage because her basic attack just hits twice. I don't know how they think this is balance, because it's not. Well, moving on to a balanced character, we have Herta. Herta is the B tier. Before she was S tier, but then they released Pure Fiction and that brought her down to B tier for me. I think personally Herta is really strong in that she does really good damage in AoE situations, but the fact that they force you to build her when Pure Fiction comes out, it just isn't really nice to me. because they give everyone free Herta, free Eidolons. They basically are forcing you to build Herta and force you to use your resources into her. And I think that is a very scummy behavior, so that's why I'm putting her in B tier. Moving on to Pitch Dark Hook the Great. I know there's this whole movement to like make Hook great again and everything, but I'm just not seeing it. I think she's still at a very respectable B tier, very average character. I think that as a leader of the moles, she has a lot of responsibility, and I think it's very admirable and a good role model for kids to play Hook. And so I put her in B tier. I think if you're a kid or even if you're an adult, and you really are looking for some leadership capabilities, you should definitely play Pitch Dark Hook the Great. She does great AoE damage. She applies burn onto enemies as well, which can synergize with dot characters. You can run Kafka along with Hook. It is pretty good. And her ult does big damage, and she's just generally a comfy character, and she doesn't really die easily as well because she's a destruction character, and destruction characters get HP and stuff like that, right? So yeah. Moving on to another D tier unit, unfortunately, I would say it's Lynx. Lynx is probably like S tier up until the end game, but you guys should really be in the end game right now, so I'm only really considering endgame players. If you're not endgame, that is a bit weird. Lynx is definitely D tier because she doesn't really help you clear content faster. She prevents you from dying, which could really synergize well with Arlan, but the fact that Arlan is D tier also just doesn't make this a nice character to recommend to build. Whereas Natasha, I would say she's a B tier. I would definitely recommend Natasha over Lynx to build if you really need a healer and for some reason you're not in the end game. I would say that Natasha is in B tier because she is a doctor, and doctors are really respectable and we should respect doctors. They really do a lot for the society and we could use more people like her. Whereas Lynx just does camping and stuff, which is cool. I respect that, but I respect doctors a bit more. Now, for the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the ladder in terms of society, we have Qingque, the gambling addicts. I don't think these people really contribute to society. Same way Qingque doesn't really contribute to her job at the Divination Commission, I think it is. She constantly needs Fu Xuan to help her stay on track, and she really feeds off other people's empathy and kindness, and she thinks that she can get away with it just because she's cute. Which is true, actually. She's really cute. S tier. Sampo Koski. This guy is literally the reason why Kafka has been good for so long. I think it's easy to forget that now that Black Swan has been out for a while now, but Sampo was really the person because he seemed to be on every banner and everyone has him for some reason. Kafka's best support, or at least most used support, was Sampo before Black Swan. So I think that he definitely deserves the B tier because he's only good with Kafka. And Kafka isn't really good with other units, so they both bring each other down. But overall, he's a solid unit, and I have seen Zero Cycle clears with him as the main carry, so maybe there's an argument for him to be S tier, because if you can Zero Cycle, you're definitely S tier unit, but I think he is in the B tier for you should build him. Actually, yeah, he's definitely B tier because I don't think his behavior is also very good, and I don't think he's exactly a very lawful citizen as well. He does a lot of sketchy things in the world of Honkai Star Rail, so I think a B tier placement is very suitable. Pela is B tier as well. She is very mid. She reduces the enemy's defense and also the enemy's ice resistance sometimes, and also she does damage. She does single target and also AoE damage, and I don't think her damage is as good as, for example, Yukong's against bosses or even smaller enemies. But I think she definitely is trying her best, and she does do damage. You can equip the S5 Pearl's Resolution Sweat Light Cone with her. You can also equip the before the tutorial mission starts Light Cone with her that everyone has. So I think overall, decent unit. You should build her if you need an ice DPS. So moving on, we have another ice unit, Misha, which I will put in the B tier for now. So in the previous video, I saw some comments about Misha being a unit that is overlooked and that is potentially very strong. So I did a bit of research and actually found out that he can zero cycle. But not a lot of people have been zero cycling with him. So I don't know if this is a S tier or B tier unit. I really don't. Personally, I have used him in the trial and he seems pretty decent. Definitely probably on par with Jingliu. So for that reason, I think, okay, I'm leaning more towards an S tier because if as a 4-star he can compare it to a 5-star, I think that is pretty good already. What isn't pretty good though is Yanqing. Yanqing, ching, 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 ching. That's the sound of his swords hitting but not doing any damage. D tier. Not much to say. He hits, he doesn't do damage. When he gets hit, he loses all his damage, which there wasn't any to begin with. So I don't know, man. I don't know how would you justify a unit like that. In the future, I'm open to hearing arguments for Yanqing, but for now, I really don't know. Maybe let me know. Let me know why he's good or not good. Probably not good. I don't think he's good. He's not good. Now, Serval, another upstanding citizen. She helped end the conflict in Belobog, right? And I think just for that, she at least deserves the B tier. Yeah, not much else to say. She synergizes with Kafka as well. Probably Kafka's best teammate alongside Black Swan. She also is very good looking and also she does not give a fuck about authority. I think similarly to Serval, I would say Sushang is also a B tier. Think about it this way. Serval is a AoE Sushang and Sushang is a single target Serval. They are basically sisters. And what do I mean by that? Sushang really benefits off the break playstyle. She likes breaking enemies and inflicting the most strongest, bestest break on the game. Bleed, the physical break. She's a physical unit. And so I think she really synergizes with Kafka, especially against single target bosses and also against bosses where maybe you're in the early game and you don't want to get hit because you take a lot of damage and you might die and you don't one-shot them. So I think she is very good for situations like that to break enemies and make sure they don't move. She's also really good in the damage department. So yeah, B tier. Oh, Luka. Luka is probably Kafka's best support. He easily carries Kafka, especially against physical weak enemies. Once again, he has bleed and he has the physical DOT, which is the best DOT in the game. He's easily S tier. I've seen people zero cycle the previous MOC, the Ebon Deer with him, and he just is very, very strong. He does a lot of damage, which is overall a fantastic thing. Moving on to Guinevere. She is unfortunately D tier. Yeah, I actually really like her as a character, so this is very hard for me to say, but objectively, she has one of the worst professions in the game, which is being a social media person, like creating content for the internet, which automatically is not something to aspire to because it's really cringe. I don't like that very much. Therefore, she's in the D tier, although she works with Kafka, but why play her when you can just play Luka, who has the best DOT in the game? Okay, we are nearing the end of the tier list, and these are some of the most hyped and most talked about characters, I guess, and I want to give my opinions on them. Let's start with Hanya, which is also another physical character, but unfortunately, she is in the D tier because she does not take advantage of the physical break like she should. Imagine being in the best element in the game and not taking advantage of it. That is so much wasted potential, right? She generates skill points, which is cool and all, but we're getting Sparkle very soon, which does the same thing. So I think she would, in the future, maybe be in like the Z tier or something, because Sparkle just completely replaces her. I don't even see people play Hanya right now. And she gives attack and speed, but guess who gives attack and speed? Asta. And she gives it to everyone. Hanya only gives attack and speed to one person and also a bit of skill points. Like, just run the relic set that gives you skill points. It's literally the same thing. Just use Bronya's light cone. It's literally the same thing. I don't know why you need a whole new character for this. It is just not efficient to build. Just build Asta. Just build Asta, right? Now, moving on to Xueyi, which is an instant S plus tier. Okay, this isn't really like ranked based on like who's the best in the specific tiers, but I'll do so for Xueyi. I think she's probably the best 4-star. She's definitely the best 4-star in the game right now, and you should definitely build her. Hear me out. Hear me out. I know this is maybe a bit of a controversial opinion, just a bit, but Xueyi is the best 4-star in the game because she does damage in so many ways. So you know how like whole 5-star units releasing has like their own gimmicks in a way? Like Dr. Ratio, oh, he's a follow-up unit. He's the first imaginary follow-up unit. Oh, like Topaz, fire follow-up unit, like a follow-up enabler. Oh my god, Kafka, DOT enabler, Black Swan, DOT unit. Like they have their own gimmicks baked in. Well, Xueyi doesn't have any of that. She doesn't need any of that. But she still has them. Because she can and because she's cool. So she is a destruction character that just does a bunch of damage on her own. She's quantum as well, which is the best element in the game. She does quantum damage and then she follows up with follow-up attacks sometimes when she feels like it. That is really amazing. That is so good. And the fact that she has a trace, okay, you might think this is crazy, but she has a trace that converts 240%, up to 240% of a break effect, which you should be hitting because you should just roll your relics correctly. 240% of break effect, which does damage on its own, and converts it into damage percent, which increases her damage across the board. That is mental, isn't it? So now, instead of just having to roll crit rate and crit damage, maybe speed on your relics, you have to roll crit rate, crit damage, speed, break effect, and attack percent, most likely, because she's so oversaturated on damage percent. She wants attack percent because of diminishing returns and all the complicated stuff. So she needs 5 stats. That is so good, right? That is insane. I don't know what else to say. Probably best unit in the game, best utilization of stats as well. It is amazing. It is chef's kiss, right? It's so good. It is so good. You have no idea. Or maybe you have. Maybe you are a Giga Chat Xueyi main as well, like yours truly. So with that said, let's move on to the last character on the list, Tingyun, which may also be the most controversial. For me, putting her in the D tier. She is a traitor. She betrayed us. She is weak. She didn't do anything and she got one-shotted. I don't know what else to say. If you want, okay, if you are critical and be like, oh, okay, that's just her lore. That's just her lore. That's not really her gameplay. Okay, well, if lore isn't gameplay, I don't know what is, because lore literally is in the game. Lore literally is the story. You literally get jades from playing the mission. You literally can earn units by getting jades from the trailblaze mission. I don't know how that's not gameplay. That is literally peak gameplay. It's like lore accurate, right? That's why people say lore accurate for a reason, right? Like, because lore is important. But if you want to say, okay, that's not gameplay, okay, sure, let's just look at purely gameplay, okay? What does she do? What does she do? What is her ult? Let's start with her ult. Her ult gives teammates energy. Energy. 60 energy. What? And boosts a bit of their damage for one character? Just one character? Well, I don't want to be that one guy. Like I said in the previous video, I think I mentioned this, but Huo over here gives your whole team energy and gives them attack percent, your whole team attack percent. So Tingyun really has kind of been power crap, but people are coping because they don't like to date people. So, I mean, I understand that and I respect that. I also want to respect my elders because she's probably many times older than me. But I don't know, energy for other characters, I don't see how that is a beneficial thing. I really do struggle with it. Let me know in the comments. I really do struggle with understanding how that's a good thing when you can just build energy recharge on them, you can get hit more, you can kill more enemies, kill them faster. So yeah, I don't really know what's up with that. And for her skill, she gives a character additional attack, which is like the most basic stat in the game. So yeah, I don't know, maybe she'll synergize really well with Blade because he lacks attack percent buffs and stuff like that. So apart from that, I don't really know where she's beneficial because most other characters have self-attack buffing buffs, or like you could just run Asta that just buffs the whole team instead and buffs them for more attack percent. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Hope you enjoyed this video and my honest opinions on these characters. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. You probably don't need me to tell you that, you're already doing that. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you have a good one. Bye-bye. I also stream on Twitch. Feel free to check it out.